I am making this video to address a issue concerning the use of the RPG Maker engine. So for a while I've been working on my game, which should be coming out somewhere in the third quarter of 2023. While I was making this game, I am not too sure what caused an error to occur when testing the game, and I'm going to present you this error. So when I open the game to be tested, this will show up. This is not supposed to show up. And for the longest time I've been trying to figure out why this keeps showing up. And for a long time, I looked around, I try and figure out what to do, and I just deploy the game and test it from the deployed version of the game. So deploy pretty much means it's kind of like your own personal copy where you can play the game in a setting. Well, it's like you actually have your own personal copy. Aside from that, that was the only way I could test the game. And from my experience deploying the game on to itch.io, I have a version of Octavio Camacho, that's the name of the game. I have it on itch.io. And I took notes on the process of managing files. They wanted a certain amount of files and a certain amount of file size. So I had to figure out what I could do. I had to cut files, I had to get rid of certain files and to make sure that it works, right? So paying attention to how the organization structure of the engine and what it recognizes and what it looks for resources. How it works is pretty much you're going to focus on a set of files, and these set of files are that you want to focus on is up here. Hold on. All right, so pretty much what you want to do is focus on these 9 files, right? This here is a file collection of information that the engine, when it's in development, extracts and organizes and places where they're supposed to be. You got sound, you have the data, fonts, icons, images, JS files. The interesting thing is that that error I showed you, this is not affected. These files here, these 9 files here, the good 9, they're not affected. So what you want to do is you want to highlight all 9 of these, press copy. No cut, just copy. That's what you want to do. All right, just give me a second here. I'm going to open up another file. This is a fresh new file. Now, being a fresh new file, it might or might not work because it doesn't have these JSON and other files. But right now, what we're going to do is we're going to see if this works. So pretty much this is a new file. We're going to open up and I'm going to show you how fresh this is. You see here, every time you start a new file, this is where you start. You got Herald in the center in a grass field. Most basic of basics. That's how you're going to start. All right, so I'm going to close this off. Now, I made multiple copies of the game I'm making. So the multiple copies had pictures and images that was not introduced into the final product. So we're gonna see if this is gonna work for this fresh new one. But it did work for one of my copies. So we're just gonna see what happens. We're going to paste. And of course, we're going to extract the files, and we're going to get to a point where they're going to ask to replace. You're going to replace. This is just a new, fresh file. Who cares? It doesn't matter. But in terms of the game actually working in the test files, it does. But for the sake of this video, we're going to use this file right now and see what happens. And if it doesn't work, then that's not the end of the world. Just going to see how this works out. But in terms of the game being totally lost or should be scrapped, or deploying the game to test the game, I hope you're following me here. This is how you're going to have to do it to deal with that issue. Okay, so here we go. Replace in file destination. Yes, you want to do that. We don't care about this this here. So get that working. All right. If it doesn't work, doesn't work. If it does, it does. All right. So this here now is a perfect carbon copy of the game, the version of the game I was recently working on. So let's see here. All right. Here we go. See that? This is what I'm supposed to be seeing. There we go. Even the save files were extracted. So there we go. As you can see here, 17 hours. So when I test my game, I test my game. Right. It's not a big whoop. Now, when it comes to this was, like I said, this was just a test. So just do some minor cleanups with this one. But like I said, this is just to see if the concept would work on a fresh new file. But the only thing we got to do is just make some changes here and there. I think I know what's going on. I think I exactly know what's going on. So why that happened was the fact that the saved information, that probably must have been a file that did not have those plugins. And we were supposed to see the battle, but in terms of working with this engine, if you're going to add a new plugin and you're going to play a saved file that did not have that plugin, is going to have an issue. So in terms of that, that's just basic. That's simple. It doesn't matter. It's not one of those things that you should be concerned about. I've worked with this thing and I've seen almost all of it. But right now, this is what we want to see. So that original file that had that Harold, the default character, in the middle of the field, he was in the middle of the field. That was the most basic, as basic can be. That's how you're going to start when you're playing using the RPG Maker engine. But I was able to take files from a setup, from a test file, development in file, move the assets from that file into another, and still be able to test the game. And that's how you deal with that issue if you cannot get your game working. And if you have any questions, just present a comment, and we'll see where we can go from there.